They call themselves La Imi, the Spanish pronunciation of the letter M. But the world knows them as the Mexican Mafia. This is not a story about glorification. This is a story about power, prison politics, loyalty, violence, and the system that helped create one of America's most influential criminal organizations. This is the rise of the Mexican Mafia. The Mexican Mafia was formed in the late 1950s at Duell Vocational Institution in Tracy, California. At the time, California's prison system was heavily divided along racial lines. Inmates grouped together for survival. Protection wasn't optional, it was necessary. A small group of Mexican-American inmates decided to organize. What started as protection quickly evolved into something much bigger. They adopted the name La Im, representing the 13th letter of the alphabet. M, that number -13, would later become a powerful symbol across Southern California gang culture. Inside prison walls, La Imi demanded discipline, loyalty, absolute obedience. Violence became a tool for control, and reputation became everything. The Mexican Mafia developed a strict internal code. There were no casual members. You didn't join, you were invited. Once in, there was no leaving. Members were expected to follow orders without question. Failure could mean violence or death. Outside prison, Southern California's street gangs began aligning themselves with La Imi. These gangs became known as Serenos, meaning Southerners. The number 13, representing the letter M, became a symbol of allegiance. Sereno gangs paid taxes to La Imi. In exchange, they received protection and backing from one of the most powerful prison organizations in the state. From behind bars, the Mexican Mafia began influencing streets hundreds of miles away. That's when prison power became street power. Over time, the Mexican Mafia evolved beyond prison protection. Federal authorities allege the organization became deeply involved in drug trafficking, extortion, contract killings, weapons distribution. Law enforcement agencies, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, began launching major investigations. RICO cases were filed, members were indicted, entire networks were dismantled. But dismantling La Im was never simple, because unlike street gangs, the Mexican Mafia operated through influence. Orders could be passed through coded messages, visitors, letters, or word of mouth. Even members placed in solitary confinement were still believed to hold power. That level of structure made them one of the most organized prison gangs in America. To understand the Mexican Mafia, you have to understand prison politics. California prisons became battlegrounds of racial tension. Different groups organized for survival. White prison gangs, black prison gangs, Hispanic prison gangs. The Mexican Mafia positioned itself as a dominant force among Southern Hispanic inmates. Rivalries formed, alliances shifted, violence escalated. Prison lockdowns became common when gang conflicts erupted. And inside those walls, reputation wasn't just respect, it was survival. In the 1990s and early 2000s, federal and state authorities intensified efforts to break the organization's control. High-ranking members were transferred to supermax facilities. Communication was restricted. New laws targeted gang leadership structures. Some former members chose to cooperate with authorities, exposing internal operations. But even with indictments and long sentences, the influence of the Mexican Mafia didn't disappear overnight, because influence, once established, doesn't dissolve easily. The Mexican Mafia's impact on California street culture is undeniable. From gang symbolism to prison politics, its influence reshaped Southern California's criminal landscape. But it also contributed to decades of violence, incarceration, and generational cycles of crime. Communities suffered, families were torn apart, and thousands of young men were pulled into a system that offered loyalty, but demanded everything in return. The story of the Mexican Mafia isn't just about crime, It's about how environments shape organizations, how prison systems can create power structures, and how influence can travel far beyond concrete walls and steel bars. This has been a look inside the Mexican Mafia. If you found this informative, let me know in the comments what topic I should cover next. Stay informed, stay aware,